When you go back, obviously you play high school basketball with LeBron, LeBron, all that stuff. You had been a corporate guy. You'd been at Nike. What was your kitchen moment when you decided, listen, I'm successful. I never thought I'd work at Nike. I'm doing well. I want to run my own thing.
That's a great question. And it's funny you say that because we were in your kitchen and you were talking me through it. And I, listening to you, it really got my juices flowing because I love to hear entrepreneurs and people that are going to go for it, that are going to take a swing. And mine literally was also in the kitchen. It happened in my mother's kitchen. I was working at Nike, but I went back to Cleveland for the summer because I lived in Oregon. So I was back in Cleveland. And LeBron came over. He says, I want to call me up. He says, you in town? I said, yeah. He says, I want to come meet you. I said, I'm going to see my mom. I'm going to have lunch. Come over there about 3:30. We'll be done for lunch. And we sat in the kitchen and he started talking to me about what he believed he could become as a player. And he wanted what he did off the floor to match that. And he thought the agent he had at the time was not going to be able to help him achieve that. And he thought that I had groomed myself and the education I got at Nike, I was the one to help him. And at that moment, to your point, backing up before that, working at Nike was like a dream to me. I got to be at what I consider the greatest brand in the world. I was in your home part of the country, the Great Northwest, which I learned to love. I went to Nike every day. For those who have never been to Nike, I call Nike Disney World for athletes. When you go to Nike's campus, it's literally Disney World for athletes. You get to work there, but there's an indoor track, an outdoor track, there's football fields, baseball fields, there's people all day playing sports. You go to lunch, there's 3 basketball games going on, and I loved it. And I got to make money doing that and working around athletes. I felt like that's where I wanted to be the rest of my life. But when LeBron said that to me, I was like, I got to go for this. I got to give this a shot. And when I look at the risk versus the reward, I got to take this chance because I believe I'm skilled enough to always, if I fuck this up or screw this up, I can always go back and get another job.
By the way, you can drop F-bombs. That's the great thing about
this. That's right. We're not on Fox. That's right. I can drop them.
I started this just so I could drop F-bombs. That was the whole reason.
Exactly.
Take me to one of your companies that you've had to make a major pivot and maybe people around you struggled, but you're like, fellas, trust me on this. Because as you know, business, Amazon started selling books? Netflix was selling DVDs. You never end up being the company that starts. Give me an example for our audience and just for me on a pivot you've had to make in the last 10 years.
Yeah. When I was, as you know, I left Nike. I went back to Cleveland, partnered with LeBron, was going to build this big sports management company. And then in 2011, sold half of that company to Fenway Sports Group, who have been fantastic partners since then. And Tom Warner, their chairman, sits on our board, the Spring Hill company now. LeBron decides to go to Miami, which is a big change, went there. And then in 2012, I said to LeBron, I think we have an opportunity to really take our life and what we've been through and put it into a show. So we took this show out, we sold the show. Not the way the TV business works. We got very lucky. Chris Albrecht, who was running stars at the time at Breakfast, says, I'm in for this. We made this show for 4 seasons. And then I was talking to a couple other people, really feeling my way around because I felt like in 2014, we should go hard at the content space because there was no one like us, meaning like LeBron and I, that come from the place that we do, that had that wanted to tell these authentic stories in a way that truly empowered athletes, creators, talent to tell their story. And LeBron decides to go back to Cleveland. And I said, I ain't going back to Cleveland this time. I'm going to LA to build what is now the Spring Hill Company. And at first, it was just going to be, I wanted to do scripted TV. And along the way, a big pivot was, I said, we should launch what is Uninterrupted, which is everybody in Hollywood is focused on writers, actors, directors, which we do a lot of that too. But no one had built a place that was truly allowing athletes to tell their story. Right. No one had truly built that place. And not in a way that in any way got in front of journalism or was journalism. We never wanted to be journalism or anything
Right.
of the sort. We just wanted to build a place where athletes like writers could walk in and go, hey, I have this idea, I have that. And we go, those three aren't good, but that one, let's develop it together. And at first we got criticism and people thought we were a little crazy, but I was like, this is the future of empowerment. This is the future of storytelling. And now as we sit here today with, streamers out of the wazoo and podcasts, we have become, Uninterrupted has become the place to truly tell the more than an athlete story.
The decision when it didn't wreck you, but just as you're building this empire and there's critics at every turn. I mean, have you evolved in a sense of you're a little bit like an athlete now? You actually were a pretty good athlete, but in that, hey man, even if you hit home runs, there's naysayers and critics. Did it bother you early?
Yeah, it did, Colin. It bothered me. At first it bothered me. And because it's a little bit, criticism is a bit like fear. We all have fear. I'm sure launching the volume, you have this sense of fear.
Yeah.
And people don't always understand that because they go, well, you're Colin, you got a show, you're rich, but it isn't about when you're ambitious like you are, like I am. It's the fear of not a failure, of like, no matter how much money you have or what you succeed, every day you got to wake up and prove yourself again. As I always say, if you look at life, the way it works, and my career has definitely been like this, at every success, I always tell my team, all success does is it gives you an opportunity to succeed on a bigger platform. So you succeed in high school, well, now let's see what you can do in the SEC. Oh, you were great in the SEC. Well, can you do it in the NFL? So at every level of success, Brady, you won 6 Super Bowls, but nobody gives a shit. You're on TV tomorrow. Can he win 7? You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way life is. It's just that Belichick's won everything, but can he win without Brady? So in life, it's not about how much money you have. It's this fear of like, I have to accomplish something. And what I realized was through that is that I'm actually addicted to accomplishment. I'm not addicted to money. I'm not addicted to anything. I'm addicted to accomplishing things, to seeing things get checked off. Like, I want to complete this. Oh, I checked the box. I'm addicted to checking the box.
So am I.
So you get, so the criticism starts to, if you let it get too heavy, it starts to feel like something in the way of me checking my box. And it used to get me, like, I used to be a bit afraid of it until I learned how to put it behind me. And instead of it being a wall, it actually became rocket fuel and really pushed me. And I think, to your point, the pinnacle, obviously most people know, for me, was the decision. And it was like, I mean, I thought I was over. It wasn't even about how I felt personally. I felt, A, that I really ruined something for my best friend and my business partner. And B, holy shit, this is going to derail me from checking a lot of boxes that I planned on checking in my life, of accomplishing things. So yeah, it used to be really stand in my way. And now I've learned to put it behind me and kind of let it be my fuel that pushes me.